Hi, Carl.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
To
Hello.
psychology class discussion number 2.
Woo! Woo! Yeah!
Shits and giggles.
All right, this is our Q&A part of the session. So we're going to ask some questions and obviously get answers. So the first question is, can any of our disabilities be cured?
Mine cannot. You either take like speech therapy, do all those classes to help you.
All right.
Rett syndrome cannot be cured. The only thing they do is treatment to kind of help with the hand movements, kind of help with occupational therapy, physical therapy, and other things like that.
Mine can't be completely treated, but like its severity can be like diminished if they go to like they can go to personal therapy or they can go to group therapy with like other kids who have Asperger's, you know, and they can also do family therapy because it really does affect like the whole family. And if they do it with their family, then they can get really good outcomes with that.
Awesome. Well, autism is not curable, but there's a lot of treatments, a lot of ways to accommodate them in classrooms, things like that, everyday life. But there's a lot of medication that is given to autism children, so that's also a thing. Also, how long can these diseases last?
Mine, the Asperger's is lifelong. It's, I mean, like, as someone grows up, they can learn, like, to deal with it more, but they have it their entire life. Like, it can never, like, go completely away. They'll have it from when they're a child all the way up to when they die.
Yeah, mine's is the same way. Like, you can only cope with it and kind of figure out ways to kind of maintain your happy medium or something like that, so that way you're not like going crazy or that you're not letting this disorder kind of bring you down. Because a lot of the patients or a lot of the kids that do have disorder, they go on to live good lives. Yeah, they're not like what society thinks is normal kids, but they're learning to, you know, have kids, learning how to wash dishes, learning how to do things. Some of them are even working or employed and things like that, so they're not just subjected to just being in the house and having someone take care of them for the rest of their life.
Right, I was actually watching a video and it said, or this guy was saying, like, autism doesn't live with me. I said that backwards. Autism doesn't live with me. No, dang it, I messed up on that. I don't live with autism. Autism lives with me.
Oh, okay.
There we go. So anyway, the guy was saying that pretty much, like, it's not a deal breaker in my life.
Yeah.
He's like, I will live with it. I will move on. I will work. I will have a family, and I will be successful. That I'm not this downgraded person.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's really cool that there are programs. Like, where I work is called Elite, and what we do is we help people who have been in an accident, have disabilities, like, get out in the workforce and things like that to help them get their first job and start rolling on their feet and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
I mean, yeah, like, you only get one life, and if you are faced with something like that, like, you might as well just, like, live with it, because, like, that's all you're given, you know?
Yeah.
Right. What about yours?
Well, mine's a lifetime thing. You just have to cope with it and deal with it and adapt to it.
Interesting. So what gender is mostly affected in your guys' disorders?
Mine's mainly male.
Interesting.
Mine's is mainly female, but it definitely goes after males as well.
Mine's mainly male, because most autism, like, in general, your subject, it is male, and Asperger's is, like, 75% of all people on the autism spectrum, so it is mainly male.
Interesting. I believe it's 1 in 68 are male, and 1 in 156, I believe, are women, which is interesting. Yeah.
That's a lot.
Right? It's a lot of scale. So how early can your disorders be diagnosed?
Early as 5, I'm pretty sure.
5.
Mine's is 6 to 18 months, just observation, because you start to see a repetitive, like, hand movement. A lot of kids would just start, you know, using their hands and, like, twitching and seizures. You'll start to see that as a baby. So definitely you could be diagnosed as early as 6 months.
Interesting.
Mine is just once you can start to, like, observe the child interacting with other children, and, like, the doctor can see the specific symptoms that go along with Asperger's, that's when it could be diagnosed.
Gotcha. I believe people on the autism spectrum, they can even do it by the way they crawl. It's called the quote-unquote scoot, is where they just scoot themselves and pull themselves forward.
Yeah.
That's, like, one major sign that your child is on the autism spectrum, which is very interesting that they found that out.
Yeah, because you would think that a child's just, you know, trying to just figure out how to crawl, but they're actually not.
Showing symptoms.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Easy to just not see that.
Exactly. So, do we know if any of these are genetic, hereditary? How do these?
I don't know. They're still thinking. I don't know. They haven't decided if it's genetic or hereditary on that yet. So.
Mine's is a genetic mutation disorder. It happens spontaneously. It's not something that we can kind of catch. It's just like 1 in 1,000 people have this disorder. So we're still trying to figure it out. A lot of people, it is kind of mistaken for cerebral palsy. Because of the same movements and same of the characteristics are the same thing as Rett syndrome. So that's probably why a lot of people don't have it, or a lot of people do have it.
Mine's the same way. Mine's a mutation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not like a certain chromosome where it's like, oh, this is caused by this,
Yeah.
you know, to show the outcome.
Yeah.
It's really just a shot in the dark,
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah.
know.
Mine is usually genetic, but it can be caused by metabolic factors as well. It's not always genetic, but it usually is.
Gotcha. Now, any of yours affected by home life, anything like that, like the environment, anything?
Mm-hmm.
No.
With Asperger's, lots of people with that have to follow like a strict routine every day, day to day.
Mm-hmm.
And if that routine gets like messed up for some reason, they will usually have an extreme meltdown.
Really?
So like the entire family, like if they're planning to do something, like say go grocery shopping, they have to tell the child
That they're
or
going.
whoever it is 3 to 5 days in advance
Oh.
Really?
to let them know that this
They're
is what's
big
happening
planners.
on that day. We're going
Mhm.
shopping for
So
2
they're
hours.
So they're
Mhm.
OCD then, technically.
I mean, they
In
just like.
some order.
I feel
you know.
it's that if they have a routine, they feel more in control
Yeah.
of what's
Okay.
going on.
Rather
Right.
than
and
if
if
they're put in a
something
situation.
is sprung on
yeah.
them, they feel out of control,
I think
and
most
so they
people are
act
like
out
that,
of
you
control.
know. You know,
Yeah.
like throw something, they're like, you know, you quick like to think on your feet, and I feel like that's kind of
It's
hard
harder
for
for
Keep
them.
you on your toes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
You know, when you change all of a sudden, you know,
Mm-hmm.
for some people it's like, okay, got it. You know, you keep rolling. Some people are like, whoa, stop, process, and
And then
let me
go.
proceed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it affects the whole entire family's
Yeah, I
life
can
because
see
they
that.
have to like follow that person's routine and not
Mhm.
try to mess it up or anything. you
And
know?
then they can't really live their lives
because they're
because
trying
they're
to-
like focusing on this person.
Yeah.
So, do you know any therapies that help them become more independent?
A lot of it was just like group therapy that like they see other people that are struggling with the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
And it's like more of like I'm not the only one with it and these people are dealing with it too.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, did you guys any know like cases, how many effects per year, things like that?
I just know
The
1
number?
in 2 out of 100,000 are affected with the disorder.
Really?
Yeah,
That's a lot of people.
that are born. I guess children that are born. That's like how many each year have that.
2 out of how many?
One out of one or two out of 100,000 kids that are born are affected with it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot.
That's crazy. That's like half a school,
Yeah.
like pretty much. If
Yeah.
you really want to, like each school is pretty much half of it's going to be like these type of people.
Right.
Yeah. But some's probably more severe than the others. So.
Mm-hmm.
Right. High functioning, low
Yeah.
functioning
Mm-hmm.
on the scale.
Like you used to go to school and you used to see them, like, you know, and they'd just be so segregated to the side, and you just be like, hey, and you can have a full-on conversation with this person. This person can probably tell you more stuff about something than you know.
You know
what
what's
I mean?
interesting? They are one of the smartest people on the earth.
Mhm.
People on the autism spectrum, you know, they say that they are so smart, smarter
Mhm.
than us.
Exactly.
You know, which is so
Yeah.
interesting, and then they get looked at, oh no, they have a disability, like
Yeah.
lower.
They're just different.
Yeah.
Exactly,
All,
and
like,
I don't think the world
Yeah,
likes
well,
different.
people with Asperger's, they say they have the same exact intelligence as anybody else. They just don't know how to communicate it.
See.
Right.
And they also fascinate on one topic usually. Like they know a lot about one thing.
Mhm.
Right.
They just don't know how to like
Tell
give
you.
off that impression. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like
Yeah.
they don't know how to communicate it at all.
That's why with some therapy sessions they allow you to like communicate, like they do like little like read this letter or like what is it, sign language. Like you can do sign language because you know some people can't verbally talk, so you can do sign language. Like they're teaching kids how to say eat, you know,
Oh,
when
sister
they're
got
like
taught
little.
that.
Oh, baby
in elementary
ASL
school.
You know
is
what I mean?
a big
So-
thing.
You know, so I'm pretty sure if you could teach a baby, you could do that thing that you could teach someone that is like
Has a
different.
disability.
Yeah, a disability.
It's interesting. So, is there anything else you guys wanted to elaborate? Any fun facts? Not fun facts, but any like facts you're like, oh wow, like I can't believe I stumbled upon this.
That is just crazy that it all links together.
Right. It's under a giant umbrella.
Giant umbrella. And I think a lot of people kind of categorize each disorder in its own disorder, not necessarily thinking that this is just all one.
Right.
Like the whole world, we're all one kind of thing. So like everybody's going to be, we're kind of like all linked together. It's not cured. You know, we all have like kind of genetic almost kind of thing going on. And then on top of that, like all of our characteristics, the symptoms and stuff like that are kind of like the same.
Same thing.
Hand movements,
Yeah.
the
Motor
lack of
skills.
communication, motor skills, like different
Yeah.
things like that. Like it's all kind of the same thing. You
I
know?
just think it's crazy that they think that segregating them from like people who aren't dealing with it is going to make them better.
Right.
Mhm.
Like,
Makes
like
it worse
being-
more than anything.
Mhm.
Because they're going to be segregated in their life. You know, it's going to go past school. It's going to go,
yeah,
you know.
they're not gonna ever like learn how to function in or with people who don't have it. You know what I mean?
And then they're gonna feel like, oh, I'm like this, instead of like, oh, growing up in the world feeling like I'm just like everybody else.
I don't
Like
know.
you don't want to have that mentality for a little kid. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's
I don't
how
know
kids
that, 'cause
kill
I was
themselves.
in LRC. The only thing we did was take tests in different places. I loved it because I was like, ooh, I can cheat. So it's kind of more
That's
of
all
like,
you thought.
honestly, 'cause like where you going? I was like, my little room, and then just laugh about it. And I'm like, I can go cheat, and you can't.
Yeah,
That is so
see?
funny. See, when I was in those classes, I thought, like, so negative.
Oh, I
I'm like-
always laughed. I
I
always
was
had a
like,
great time.
I was pissed. I'm like, they're pulling me out.
No, I-
People
Right.
are noticing. Like, I'm pissed.
Oh,
People are like,
no.
why are you going there? And you're like, oh, because you're different. And I'm like, leave me alone. I learned different.
Mhm.
Oh, my goodness. I would bully people. Just,
I remember- I
I'd yell
remember-
at them, even though I was getting bullied.
Right, you got to stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
No, exactly. And it's crazy how kids are being bullied at schools because they learn different.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, it's gonna always happen that these kids are gonna get bullied because they need special treatment or, you know, just a different way. Even like ADHD, dyslexia, like everyone needs a certain
Everyone learns
way.
differently. in their own way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No one is a cookie cutter, you know, learner.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Which is
well, I
very
feel like
interesting.
everybody has their own talents too. Like, yeah, someone might not be great at math. Like,
Right.
if they're struggling in it, then they might be great at English or something that isn't even relevant to school. Like,
Yeah.
Einstein dropped out of high school. You know what I mean?
He's brilliant.
And he was-
Right? I
People
was
write
saying,
about him,
like
people
the smartest
commend
person.
him.
He
The
did do a
person
lot
who
of
did
drugs.
Apple.
Like, a lot of
Oh,
millionaires
yeah.
didn't even graduate from college. Like,
Thank you.
So true. And they're like thinking, like, now in society, you have to get a PhD, a
You do all
master's, this,
yeah.
and that.
Or you're gonna go nowhere with your life. You're gonna be a bum.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When you drop out, and what? Someone invents the tip of the shoelace, and they're billionaires, and no one has to work.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, we're here, like,
Easy.
choked up in student debt, and what's the outcome? You know,
No.
yeah.
crazy.
We can just wish to be just like Carl.
What Carl has been through.
We wanna be like you.
And that's it.
All right, thank you guys
Bye,
for
Carl.
tuning in.
Thank
Have
you.
a great day, and thank
Come
you for
again.
watching.
Bring
Bye,
drinks.
guys.